Good morning. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about allergies. Okay, I'm going to talk more specifically in regards to our youngest. She is 12, and what she's allergic to, kind of how the symptoms progress, how she goes from being healthy to being sick. And then I'll talk about what we have found so far for the past year that has been working marvelously. Okay, so it is a long story. I'm going to try. I've already tried twice and I have failed, but I'm going to try to make it short. So if I'm missing pieces of the story to where you don't understand, I am sorry. I'm a very detailed person, so it's really hard for me to tell a story and not tell you every little detail. I'm sorry. So I will try. Okay. So, our youngest, when she was about maybe around 18 months old, we discovered that she was allergic to cats. Okay, we always have a dog, we always have a cat, we always have chickens. So those are three that we always have. In the past, we've also had, for about a year, we had hamsters, because the girls wanted a hamster until they died, until the hamsters died, so we no longer have hamsters. My youngest has a turtle right now. We've also had cows and goats and rabbits, and we'll probably be getting rabbits again, maybe next year. But, okay, so those are kind of the animals that, we've had. Okay. So when she was about 18 months old, we realized she was allergic to cats. And she, everything would be fine. She wouldn't get sick. She wouldn't, she could breathe. Everything would be fine. It was just, if she was holding a cat or had cat dander on her hands and was touching her face, she would get red blotches. Okay, just little red patches on her face and maybe her neck. But most often right along the jawline is where she would get the red blotches at. And we decided just to keep the cat, hoping that it would build up an immunity to her or that it would keep her from being deathly allergic to cats in the future. So we've always had a cat. Okay, so that was when she's about 18 months old. We learned she was allergic to cats. Okay, she gets red blotches within a few hours of washing her hands, wiping her face off, being away from the cat, the blotches go away, no problem. Okay, that's how that was. Probably about 6 years ago, maybe a little longer, we learned that she had seasonal allergies. So in the early spring, well, pretty much all spring, and then again in the fall, she would be perfectly healthy and she'd go outside, play, and then she'd come in just constantly sneezing, having to blow her nose. Eyes might be watering, but mainly just sneezing and blowing her nose. The next day, she would have congestion, sinus congestion. Her throat might be scratchy. It just really depended. If it wasn't scratchy the next day, it definitely would be the following day. So if I did not treat it right away, then within a day or two, she would end up with a sinus infection, okay? And if I didn't treat that, she would end up with bronchitis. And then we all know what comes next. If you don't treat that, it'll turn into pneumonia. And she's never had pneumonia, thankfully. And she's only had bronchitis twice, maybe. And that has been years ago. Anyhow, okay. So that's how the seasonal allergies affect her. Progression of what she has. And she has been living with this for 8 years with the seasonal allergies. At least 6 years has been a noticeable deal. It affects her, it affects her quality of life. It affects the decisions we make, if we're going to go outside in the spring or summer or even the fall, and I know we're going to be outside all day, I will look at the weather. I'll go to AccuWeather or the Weather Channel app might have the pollen count too. But there's another website called pollen.com and they do the pollen count. They'll tell you the pollen levels for today, tomorrow, yesterday, the last 30 days for your area. So it's a nice site. But So I'll go to those sites and I'll say, oh, the pollen's gonna be really high today. Maybe we shouldn't go today, okay? Or maybe we should go, in the morning or in the evening, or, like instead of all day long. Okay, so it's actually affected what we do and when we do it and where we go and things like that. Okay, so I'm just trying to make this a little fast, but I feel like I need to say more. Anyhow, okay, so my husband and I, we have talked about having her allergies tested and having allergy shots. We've talked about that in the past probably 3 years, but we just never did, just quite weren't sure. Anyhow, so last year in 2019, she was perfectly fine one day, and we all go outside to work, and she gets really sick, okay? She comes in sneezing, So the next day is Sunday, and we're on our way to church, and she's all congested, and the entire drive there is just a constant blowing her nose, just nonstop. And so we don't even go to church. We just turn around, we come home, and my husband, he says, okay, we have to get her allergies tested. So we went and we had her allergies tested. And we knew her allergies were bad, but we had no idea just how bad until they were tested. So here's her little report. She was tested for 58 things, and she tested allergic to 46 of those 58 things. So she was tested for tree pollen, grass pollen, weed pollen, 3 different kinds of molds, dust, and under dust category there was cockroach and 2 kinds of dust mites. And then she was tested for animals, for cats, dogs, feathers. Okay, so she tested, and under the grass pollen, she tested off the charts. Just like their highest they can give you was a 4. They gave her a 4+, and then they put in a 6. And I asked her, I said, what does that mean? And she said, it just means they don't have a way of measuring that because it's just too far off. And that was on every grass pollen that was tested. She tested off the charts on many, many things, but she did test allergic to 46 out of the 58. So I knew it was bad, but I really didn't realize it was that bad. Okay, so how do I want to say this? Okay, so we talked to the allergist, and he suggested we do allergy shots. And so we talked about how they work and that type of stuff. And I said, well, I'll need to think about it and talk to my husband about it. So I go home and I try researching the allergy shots to find out exactly what's in them. And I couldn't, it seemed like it would depend on which lab made them as to what exactly would be in them. So I called the allergist and asked them what exactly were in the shots. And here, she's off the charts on red cedar, okay? So they said, well, for her, she would get some red cedar pollen in her shot. I said, I know that, and I'm okay with that, but what else is in there? What's all the liquids? What is all of every ingredient in there, and how much, is in there of each ingredient? And they were confused as to why I was asking. They didn't understand why I was asking or why I would even care. I guess they had never been asked that before, and they did not know the answer. And I said, well, how can you not know the answer? And they're like, well, we don't make the shots. A lab does. I said, well, then call the lab or give me the number and I'll call the lab, and because I need the answers. So to make that long story short, because they weren't too happy with that, but to make that long story short, I did get the information, and so they gave me all the ingredients and how much of each thing was in each vial for the shot, and how many shots she would have to have, and all that stuff. So I researched each ingredient, and a lot of time and research went into that. to make that long story short, overall, I would feel better about giving my child allergy shots than vaccines, for sure, by far. However, the allergy shots, they still have, in my opinion, very questionable ingredients that I don't feel comfortable with. And if my daughter was deathly allergic to this stuff, then I would more likely consider the allergy shots. But since she's not deathly allergic and we can control it, I don't want to take a chance. Okay, so I decided, and I talked to my youngest about it and gave her the information, and I said, you're old enough to understand this, so this is the benefit, this is the risk, what do you think to do? And she said, well, I really don't want to be allergic to this stuff anymore, and I hear allergy shots work, but I don't want to risk it. And she said, is there any plants that will help me? And I think I forgot to put this in, but so for years I had been looking, because, if you know me or follow me a little bit, I don't talk too much about it, but, if you know me in any sense, I treat my family naturally. We have not, we don't get sick unless it's allergies with my youngest. Everything that we have ever come across, I've been able to treat naturally, going on 10 years now. So, but I had looked at all kinds of different stuff in the past. We've tried different stuff. Nothing has worked, even essential oils. So please don't put the lavender, lemon, and peppermint in the comments because it didn't work for her. Anyhow, so, nothing would work. All right. So I told her, when she asked, is there a plant? I said, well, we haven't had luck with anything yet, but, who knows? I'll look again. Maybe we can find something. And so one day, actually, I think it was the next day, our homeschool group texted me and said, hey, we're going to have a spontaneous park day, so we'll meet you at the park. Well, it was a very windy day, and it was in the early spring, so I knew with the spring weather and the wind, pollen was going to be pretty high. I looked out the window, and I kid you not, it was like a green screen going by. It was just so green with the pollen fog just floating around the house. It was just this massive cloud. You couldn't really see through it. And my youngest, she knew about the park day, and she asked if we were going. I said, come here, hurry. Look at this green cloud. That is pollen. If we go, you're going to be in that, and you know what that's going to do to you. And she knew, but she was willing to take the risk. She said, well, when I get sick, you can make me better. I really want to go and play. And anyway, so I'm like, okay, I guess we'll just do what we do. So go get ready. So she was getting ready, and I was looking at the newspaper. And in the newspaper, there was this naturopath local person. They wrote an article about seasonal allergies or spring allergies, pollen, and they wrote about nettles. And up until then, I hadn't heard about nettles. So I liked what he had to say. So I researched it, and I was impressed with what it said. So before we went to the park, we went to a health food store, and I bought some nettle extract. Okay, and I don't have it because it's all gone. This was last year, but I will show you in case you don't know what an extract or a tincture is. It comes in just a glass bottle. It's a liquid, and it's just a dropper. Okay, so it's just, and this is my elderberry that I made because we take it to stay healthy from viruses. We went to the store and we got the nettle. I think theirs was an extract. I don't know if it was all alcohol or not, but anyway, we got the liquid nettle, and I went ahead and gave it to her. Now, I want to point out something that I read in the research multiple times about nettles. They say in order for nettles to work for allergies is you have to take it every single day for at least 2 months before allergy season starts. Okay, so when I read that, I was thinking, well, this isn't going to work, right? Because I mean, the season's already started for like 3 weeks and she's just starting taking it, so it's not going to work, but maybe it'll help. Okay, so she took it, did some extra things too that day only for that park day, because the nettles, it said take every single day for 2 months before allergy season starts. So I gave her the nettles, I gave her honey mixed with apple cider vinegar, and I gave her elderberry. And of course I had her take nose spray. Nose spray is something I highly recommend. It's something that we always do, always have done. I really recommend that. So she did all of that stuff before we left the house, and I took it with us. Then when we arrived at the park, I had her do all that again, the nettles, the honey and apple cider vinegar, and the nose spray and the elderberry. So I had her do it when we got to the park. And then after we left the park, I had her do it again. Okay. Now, I was certain that it wasn't going to work. Okay, the pollen count was extremely high that day. You could see the pollen, you could feel the pollen in the air. It was very high. She was fine that day. The next day, perfectly fine. And I was thinking, okay, this has never happened, so the next day she'll be sick. Nope. The next day she'll be sick. Nope. She never got sick. This was in May of 2019. When we did that the first time. She has not been sick. This is August 10th, 2020. She has not been sick since. And she takes the nettles regularly, although she doesn't take them like they say. They recommend you take them every single day. She doesn't take them every single day. She takes them, like in the wintertime, she doesn't take them. You know, she may go a week, even like this whole summer and stuff. She may take them one day and then forget to take them for a week. And then she'll go outside, she'll sneeze. She's like, oh, I need to take my nettles. She'll go inside, she'll take nettles, you know. I'm just letting her do it. So she takes them somewhat regularly, but not every single day. She may take them like on a Monday, and then the next week she may not take them till a Friday. So it's just kind of whatever she feels like she needs to do. But she has not been sick. It's amazing. It's amazing the power that God put into these plants to heal us. I mean, you know, He gave everything we need. He's provided everything we need, the food, the medicine, everything. That's a whole different story, but anyhow, it's amazing. Now, I want to say that the nettles may not work for you. It may not work for everybody, because with the chemical compounds in nettles or any other plant, and then the chemistry inside the person, each person has a different, chemistry and everything in the plant and the way they interact. It may not work for you. You may have to use a different plant for allergies. Another one, if nettles stop working, because the allergist, I told him about nettles. I did, I called him later and I said, hey, we found out about nettles. We've been trying them. They've been working. So we're just going to hold off on the allergy shots for now. And have you heard of nettles? And he was reluctant at first, but then, he said, yes, I have heard of nettles, and they do work. They are an antihistamine, so they do work. But there's a big chance that her body may get immune to them. Okay, and then they may stop working. And I said, well, if and when that day comes, then we'll look into the allergy shots again. But for now, they're working, so this is what we're going to do. Okay. And I think that's another reason why my daughter chooses not to take them every single day, because, I think she's wanting to prolong the her body getting immune to it. Okay, so I am running out of storage space on my phone. So I'm almost done. Hopefully it'll hold off. Okay, so one more plant that if and when, hopefully just if, the nettles stop working that I'll look into is called butterbur. It's also supposed to be a good one for allergies. Anyhow, I haven't looked into it yet too much. Okay, so again, you can take the nettles as a tincture. Here are ground up nettle leaves. Not ground, sorry, just crushed, dried nettle leaves. This is ground up nettle leaf powder. Did you see a little puff of smoke? So I take the powder and I put it in my capsule machine and I make our own nettle capsules. Little nettle pills here, okay? And my daughter, she takes 1 or 2 of those just kind of when she wants. Most of the time it's a couple times a week. It just depends. Okay, so that has helped her tremendously. Here is this. I have shown you this book before. I've done a review on this. So here's a picture of nettles. So it's just a weed. It's sometimes called common nettle or stinging nettle. It has little stingers on it. Anyhow, so like I said, I'm running out of space. So here it tells you all the things that nettles are good for. And so if you're interested, you can research nettles on your own. Nettles is an antihistamine, so that's why it works for allergies. Okay, so some internal uses of nettles. They are used for Alzheimer's, anemia, arthritis, bursitis, rheumatism, asthma, hay fever, diarrhea, dropsy, eczema, psoriasis, gout, high blood pressure, hives, internal bleeding, kidney stones, heavy bleeding, night sweats, osteoporosis, and prostate enlargement. And then externally, it is used for bleeding wounds, burns, scalds, hair loss, nettle rash, and a nosebleed. Okay, so so you just use the leaves, you dry them out, you crush them up, and then you can make a tea out of them. Whenever I make our allergy help tea, it's a combination. I mix in nettles, mullein, peppermint, a little bit of ginger, and I think that's all that I have in our allergy help tea. Anyhow, okay, so I guess that's it. So yeah, if you're interested in nettles or if you have allergy issues, that has been our luck, our success with using nettles for allergies. And my husband, he has also noticed a difference too. Because like if he would go outside mowing the grass, he would come in all stopped up. Thankfully, he wouldn't actually get sick, but he would be all congested. And, I would just give him hot teas and herbal stuff to stop it in its tracks. But now he will take nettles and then he doesn't get all that. So, so he's had good luck with it too. Me, I've taken it one time because I don't get sick. But I think it was this spring, I was outside, helping build the chicken house and messing with the chickens and stuff. And I don't remember what it was, but I started sneezing and my eyes just started watering. And I was thinking, whoa, this isn't like me. So I came to the house, took some nettles, wiped my face, went back out, and I was fine. So I don't know. But that's not how it's supposed to work, so they say. But that's how it's been working for us. So, okay. So since I have a little bit of time left, I think, before I lose storage space, again, I know I've said this before, and I know I've put it in little videos before, but I am not, this video is not meant to diagnose, treat, or prevent or cure any kind of disease or illness. Okay, I am not licensed or trained or certified or degreed in anything. Okay, I am just a mother that enjoys learning about plants and using plants for, medicinal purposes in my own family. So always you are responsible for your own health. Okay, so you need to be responsible, do your own research, dig deep, never trust one source. Okay, always compare multiple sources, whether they're books, websites, people, businesses. Always compare multiple sources, see if they all agree, and make sure that they are not, that those sources are not connected. Okay, so like that's something, especially in websites, you know, you may, you know, you'll want to scroll down and go to the about me and about us, about the company page, all that. Make sure the sources you're using are not all connected. Okay, don't use Wikipedia. Okay, just don't. Go to real people. Anyhow, so, well, I finally got that video made. All right, well, have a good day. Bye.